So let's start to pull up a little bit. You can keep your feet on the, why don't you keep your feet down so that there's not a lot of strain on you here. Because I want to show a couple things in different positions. So one of the things the teaching cues we use is always have your fingertips pointed down. Okay? And we want this angle, especially from the elbow to the fingertips, to be perpendicular to the flow of the water. So the water's flowing this way. We want the elbow to fingertips to be as perpendicular the whole way through. Okay? And Jeff's in a great position to this point, and this is where some of our swimmers get into trouble, and which is that when swimmers start thinking exclusively about the hand, then the hand starts really leading at this point. Okay, and what that does, it puts a lot of pressure on these small muscles in the rotator cuff. It disengages the lats a little bit, and we've also created this angle that's driving the swimmer down when they're actually trying to rotate up this way, and I think it's counterproductive. So what we ask our swimmers to do to stay strong is at this point really start focusing on leading with the elbow, and it's almost I hesitate to say it, but we want them to drop the elbow a little bit. We want them to drop it back here, because it's not only strong, but look at this angle that he's got, and he's keeping this angle, a tremendous amount of surface area on the water, all the way back through what Dr. Prinz yesterday described as what should be the most propulsive part of the pole, from here to here. What's the most propulsive part of the pole, because we can keep that angle on the water when we're doing it right, all the way through here. But you don't have to give it up at this point. I think if you're continuing, and keep your elbow bent a little bit, if you're continuing to focus on keeping this angle and all the surface area in the water, okay, then it looks real different. We're not trying to push the water up, we're trying to push the water back. Okay, and this is a great tool at this point for teaching swimmers how to finish the freestyle stroke. Because what we're actually trying to do is lift the elbow at the end and keep some pressure on the forearm, keep the fingertips down, and essentially roll that pressure right off the fingertips. And it's always back. It's always back. So that's essentially the basics of how we teach the freestyle stroke, the butterfly stroke, breaststroke pull-out, until I saw Eddie not do the breaststroke pull-out yesterday, or Nort not do the breaststroke pull-out yesterday. So we may start to do that too. You can also do this with backstroke. How's your backstroke? Good, let's roll over.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You talked about that stretch a little bit out in front. Are you trying to create that surface area and trying to create the speed of which you're moving at as quickly as possible once you get into the water? Or is there an application of speed from a less to or pressure from a less to a more?
Yeah, I think it has to be really subtle. I think it may be one of the most skilled movements that we have in swimming, is going from this lengthening streamline to a position where you're actually going to create some propulsion. I think if we try to rip through that, then we're not strong. We're not really getting a whole lot out of it. But and I described this yesterday, but the language that I think has helped our team a little bit in teaching this is that if you can imagine a water slide, like being at the top of a water slide, and your fingertips start at the very top, and then they slide down, and you're moving forward at the top of a water slide, and they slide down and forward, and that concept means that you're applying some force downward, so you're not getting your arm against the flow of the water. It's got to be moving at least at the speed of the water, but you're also, and you're creating some pressure on the forearm to help the arm get forward, but it's essentially a positioning movement, and I don't think it's a propulsive movement, at least in this way. I think the people who are swimming freestyle out wide can get there quicker and get there with a little bit more propulsion. but they're out wide, and their hand's closer to the shoulder, so they're not getting the same kind of force on the hand. And essentially this 90-degree angle means that everything is closer on the forearm, so you're not getting the same amount of speed. So the stroke that we're teaching, which is a lot more underneath, that's a pretty subtle movement, and I don't think it's quick. I think you let the water do the work for you, and then you go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. In backstroke, this is also pretty useful. I'll lengthen this a little bit for you. You can just put your. I don't want you to hold your neck up for a long time, so you can put your head down on there. Okay, so we put the cuff on in the same place. And because this bench is relatively narrow, it does allow for some rotation. And the same idea is that we're trying to go from this entry position, which is streamlined, into a catch position, which is not streamlined, but we're trying to create some force on that forearm. Wrap this up a little bit. Okay, and again, I think all those forces should still be coming through the upper third of the forearm. So again, we're trying to get the elbow forward as far as possible. We're trying to get as much of the surface area of the arm into the flow of the water, and we want it out fairly far away from the shoulder. Now, if you follow that logic, then you'd say, well, we could go straight arm the whole way, but you wouldn't go straight arm because you can't get an angle on the water through more than about 15 degrees of a straight arm pull. So we go from bench out to pretty straight and strong, and then through the finish, you want to start to pull yourself up. Through the finish, we try to keep the fingertips out, and that keeps surface area on the water. We try to lead with the elbow, so again, kind of drop the elbow, and then keep in contact with the water as far back as possible. Okay, and we'll do a double arm backstroke that way, do a single arm backstroke that way, and that's those are a couple ways that we use it. How about some breaststroke?
Love it.
Okay, we're going to put it around your ankles actually.
Okay.
You want to use the pulley system for that, Bob?
Yeah, that's a good idea. The pulley system is not as fixed, so there's less resistance. You can do more repetitions when you use the pulley system, and that's pretty cool, especially when we do the breaststroke kick. It puts a little bit less stress on the knees when you come down, when the athlete comes down. Okay. And I think the same idea applies to the breaststroke kick as it does the arm pull and the other strokes. That the different parts of the leg are moving at different speeds. They're moving at different angles, and they got different varying amounts of surface area. And there should be sort of a balance point. There's a balance point where all those forces are traveling through, and that is probably somewhere around the lower part of the shin. So you bring your legs up into a breaststroke kicking position there. Okay, so and each athlete actually likes to have these in different places. Some athletes, and this is really cool, will put them around their feet, put these cuffs around their feet, and it's pretty cool to see these strong breaststrokers be able to finish by flicking their ankles and finishing with their feet together. But this is sort of a basic teaching and strength move. And since since in every stroke as soon as we start to pull, as soon as we start to move water, that water accelerates. And in order to keep equal force moving forward, the stroke itself has to accelerate. And same thing goes for the breaststroke kick. And with resistance, when you put resistance on it, you get increasing force through the whole range of motion, and that stimulates the athlete to kind of get that acceleration feeling, and so you can sort of let your mind run wild with how you're going to use this, but we also teach. This is a great tool for teaching the breaststroke recovery, breaststroke kick recovery. It's not an easy thing to do on land, but what we're trying to do is teach the athlete to recover their feet in sort of in the shadow of the flow of the water, which means they're going to bring their heels up pretty tight. They're trying not to drop the knees. And since Jeff, this isn't, so you have to use your imagination. Since Jeff is on the surface at this point in the stroke, and he's got water flowing past him, that water is actually starting to move in this direction. And all the water is not moving in that direction. He's got some turbulence behind his back, and so it actually creates less drag for him to bring his feet up within the shadow of that water that's moving behind him. Out to the side, the water is still flowing this way, okay? And that's the water that he's got to get his feet out into at the top of the kick and then launch himself forward, okay? And so he's got plenty of resistance there from the Vasa trainer. You can do this for a long time, and one of the things that we've been able to see with some of our athletes is some asymmetry in their breaststroke kick and their ability to turn each foot out. We've also been able to correct some asymmetry that we see on film. Some of them will turn one knee out more than the other, and the Vasa is really good for helping you kind of keep your legs in place. We can also work on the recovery of breaststroke, and there's no easy way to do this other than take it off and then turn around. The recovery of the breaststroke kick. So we can turn Jeff upside down on the Vasa trainer and put those put the cuffs on and have him really work his glutes and his hamstrings to try to recover on the breaststroke kick, which is, I think, how we all essentially want to teach this. And when Nora was talking yesterday about just really kind of how volatile breaststroke is and how sensitive the stroke is and the timing, one of the first things that we've experienced that people lose